short-term rental contracts, just about your lease agreements, you and your guest. What type of agreement do you have with them? Is it protecting you? By the way, if you wait around to the end of this video, I'm going to give you a free ebook, The Ultimate Guide to Short-Term Rental Insurance Protection. We'll go through everything you need to know about short-term rental insurance. Okay, now let's talk about this. Listen, one of the things that most people don't think about is when you talk about coming up with a comprehensive asset protection strategies, most people don't think about making sure that their rental contract gives them protection. But in reality, one of the first places to start is the formation of your rental contract with your renter. You want to make sure that it provides you the protection that you need. And I know most people don't think about that, but understand your contract lays out the rules of the road. It lays out the framework by which who is liable for what and what should happen in the event of a liability event. Okay, so let's talk about this. Many new investors will do what? I mean, look, I don't blame it. Many people just getting started. I'm a short-term rental investor myself. When you first get started, the easy thing to do is just go on the internet, print off some sort of, standard form that you find from someone, slap it on Airbnb and VRBO, and get started. Well, here's the problem. A template contract might work just fine for a long-term rental lease or something along those lines, but it's not going to provide you sufficient protection to make sure it provides you the special protection that you need in the event of a liability instance that takes place on one of your short-term rental properties. You need a short-term rental lease that specifically, and this is important, that you have specific language that provides you protection from liability for actions taken by your guest. Okay, what if your guest does something that creates liability or empowers you to bring legal action against your guest for tearing up your property, for destroying something, for anything along those lines? So protecting your property is not just from lawsuits, it also comes from the actions of a crazy guest who may come stay at your place, which many of us know what that's like. Okay, so one of the things we do is we need to also make sure that we include specific language for high-risk activities that may take place on a property. And what I mean by that is, for example, look, most insurance options that are out there will cover on-premise liability issues, okay? But what about your short-term rental contract covering off-premise liability? Well, I'm gonna give you an example. Maybe you own a short-term rental that has a dock, a pool. Maybe you have canoes or kayaks that go out. People use those and they're out on the lake or they're on the river or they're doing different things like that. What if you have bicycles? What if you have golf carts? What if there's community or HOA amenities that are being used? What if there's shared amenities that are being used as part of your short-term rental? And here's the other one that no one wants to talk about. What if there's an assault or a crime that takes place off premises by one of the tenants, by one of your actual short-term rental guests that are there? Your short-term rental agreement needs to have specific language addressing these concerns to help provide you some type of liability protection. Here's the other thing. If your contract, and this happens very frequently, if your contract does not have some of these issues addressed in them, you're actually providing an out for your insurance carrier to be able to address a claim. So let's say a claim is brought up based upon an issue, but your contract doesn't cover it thoroughly. You're actually giving a foothold for your insurance company to say, I'm not covering the claim because you didn't put together a good contract, making it clear that that was a prohibited activity. So this is really important. For example, this is very common that commercial policy providers can attempt to deny a claim for a short-term rental agreement that does not provide prohibited activities on a boat dock or maybe on a pool. And so you'll find this all the time. If you do not post adequate signage for no diving, if you don't post adequate signage for, you're assuming the risk, swim at your own risk, those sort of things. If that's not only posted, but also in your rental agreement, you're creating a situation where your insurance company may deny the claim. Okay, so I'm just trying to emphasize this. At STR Law Guys, we provide short-term rental contracts as part of our legal services. Whether it's a standard rental agreement that you might need in order to get started, or maybe you need something a little bit more in depth, something to cover these off-premises liability issues, or you have a lake house, or you're on the ocean, or those sort of things. It's important to address that in your contract so that you layer up your protection. All right, listen, I promised you a free ebook. If you click through, I'll give you the ultimate guide to your short-term rental insurance protection. Click down into the video. You'll see the section there to click the link. Give us your email address. We'll send that over to you. Thanks again. We'll see you on our next video.